Say in Kiswahili, karibu sana.
Bienvenue.
Merci. Thank you. Thank you for all.
Yeah,
I don't speak English.
Thank you. So I believe we'll proceed. We have a translator who will help us in the conversation right now. So probably I'd wish to begin with, I'd wish to ask you one of the most frequently asked questions that you not want to be asked. If you've come across any question that you've always been asked in many of your speaking places you go to speak, and you'd wish to respond to it before I ask you, you know.
If this question he does not get. Are you saying if this question Il y a une question qui est posée pour toi beaucoup de fois. Il y a des questions.
Ah, il y a des questions. La plupart du temps, on me pose la question, comment tu as trouvé le titre, par exemple?
Many times Youssef is asked by people, how did he find the title to the book?
Alors je réponds pour le titre. C'est très difficile de trouver un titre. Pour moi, c'est très difficile de trouver un titre. Et ce titre, ce n'est pas moi qui l'ai trouvé. C'est un ami. Chaque fois, je lui pose la question, je me pose la question, quel titre faut donner à ce livre? Parfois, les écrivains donnent des titres qui n'ont rien à voir avec l'écrit, rien que pour attirer l'attention.
It is very difficult for him to find titles to stories. This title in particular was given to him by a friend because sometimes he believes, what if the title that I would give it has nothing to do with the story?
Le titre, il est dans le livre. This title is into the book, but who can find it? Parfois, comment? Parfois, un jour, j'ai trouvé un bon titre pour un livre. Parfois, on le trouve avant le livre. J'ai écrit un livre qui s'appelle Hashish. Et j'ai beaucoup aimé. Je l'ai trouvé avant même d'écrire le livre. Parce que ça parle du nord du Maroc et de l'immigration et des trafiquants de hashish.
There are times, however, he admits that he has found a title even before he has written the story. Case in point, he has a book that is called Hashish. And he was very happy with the title because and he had the title even before he wrote the story. And then the story lent itself to him, and he was then able to write a story about immigration, about trafficking of hashish.
That's quite interesting because, I mean, the title is referring to is this one, A Beautiful White Cat Walks With Me. This is published in 2016. And then you have got two other texts, I think, with very interesting titles as well. There's the one you published in 2013, A Rare Bluebird Flies With Me. It's on sale out there. So unfortunately, I don't have a copy. And then 2019, the one that is showing you, A Shimmering Red Fish Swims With Me. How come you have got this very interesting progression and relationship between the titles? Is it that you are working with like a bigger body of work, and each text speaks to a specific, chapter in that larger body of work? Is there any relationship between these two? Why this interesting arrangement of your titles?
Il n'y a pas une relation de personnage. J'ai pensé écrire des thèmes sur le Maroc, sur les problèmes du Maroc.
There's really no relation in terms of the characters that appear in the books. What he really wants to do is divide the books in terms of the themes he wants to explore about Morocco.
Le premier livre parle du roi et du bouffon. Le bouffon. Celui qui fait rire le roi. Celui qui fait rire les clown. Clown but not clown in the cirque. Clown chaque roi, il a ses bouffons.
Okay. Yes.
Qui le font rire dans la nuit pour dormir.
Let me get this right. So, chaque roi, each king, and how they are a clown in terms of governance. I think it's something like what we see with ourselves and our governance and the joke that we see in society.
C'est une tradition dans les palais européens. Et dans les grands palais, il y a toujours des bouffons qui font rire les ministres. Quand ils n'ont rien à faire, ils viennent pour les faire rire.
It is something in European culture, the clownery of the politicians is something that he has seen and then he has decided to adapt into his work.
Dans ce roman, il y a ce bouffon qui fait rire le roi et qui raconte ce qui se passe dans le palais, et son fils qui est allé à faire la guerre. Les circonscrits.
Yes. There are two clowns in this book, and they make the king laugh. The same clowns have their own sons who have been, what's the word? They've been registered to go to war.
Dans le deuxième, The Rare Birds, il parle des gens qui ont été dans le Bani au sud du Maroc, Tazmamart, où ils ont vécu 20 ans dans un Bani avec une vie terrible, une vie de souffrance. Ils étaient 56, 20 ont survécu.
And the second book is about Moroccan people who have lived through suffering, but the book is also very primarily rooted in showing how they overcome that suffering.
Alors, je parle de sa femme. Et un jeune pilote qui est allé en prison et sa femme le cherche pendant 20 ans. Il vient de se marier. Le jour de son mariage, on l'a arrêté et sa femme est allée continue à le chercher pendant 20 ans. Voici l'histoire du deuxième.
And in that story, it's about a young pilot who is arrested, and the story recounts how his wife is then looking for him because he has been taken away for 20 years.
Et ce pilote, son problème, c'est quand il vole, il ne sait pas atterrir. Il aime voler et il ne sait pas atterrir.
The pilot is flying, but he has nowhere to land.
Et ça a coïncidé avec un coup d'État. Et on l'a arrêté parce qu'il ne veut pas descendre.
It is a representation of like a coup d'État because he's moving but has nowhere where he can get down to.
Le troisième livre parle d'une jeune fille qui veut chanter, qui descend à Casablanca pour chanter.
And the third book, this one, is about a young person who wants to go to the city because they want to become a singer.
Et à cette époque-là, on construit la grande mosquée qui s'appelle la mosquée Hassan II. The mosque. Yes. Hassan II.
Hassan II. Yes, and then there's a construction of a mosque called Hassan II.
Hassan II. Hassan, tout le roi.
Yes, Hassan II, yes, voilà. The king.
Et elle rencontre quelqu'un qui travaille à la mosquée, un maçon qui construit le plafond avec du bois, etc. Et elle raconte, le livre raconte cette histoire d'amour et de souffrance des gens qui ont travaillé dans cette mosquée parce que ça a coûté très cher pour les Marocains.
And the story is telling of the people who are being contracted in order to build this mosque. and the problems that they are facing while being contracted, and they're suffering while having to build this mosque.
It's quite interesting when you mention the jesters, the court jesters, and the clowns and the comedy, which you say is an import from Europe and politics and everything. And that leads me to, there's a passage, just a paragraph that I'd wish to read. And then I seek your mind on why you are interested in humor as a strategy to talk about politics, why you opt to write about clowns, for example. So this particular passage is about an old man who is about 60 years of age, and he's fallen in love with a lady who is 24 years of age. So this gentleman is speaking about his mother-in-law, the potential mother-in-law, and the lady who is 24 is called Aziza. So I read it. I always wonder what her mother has in store for me. I wouldn't go so far as to say that Aziza loves me, despite all the appreciation that she has shown me up until now. I'm not so foolish as to be convinced that she accepted marriage to a man approaching 60 because of my good looks and charm, or because of my status and position, or even because of the respect she saw in people's behavior towards me. Oh no, it is because she's poor and she saw that marrying me was an opportunity for her little fingers to grab onto prestige and for her to know what fortune feels like. And there are lots of such interesting humorous passages. Why do you find humor very key in your text? And I'm not saying that it's all about humor. Of course, there's a lot of tragedy in this text, the war and everything that happens here for Hassan's life, for example.
Pourquoi j'utilise l'humour? L'humour, c'est ça, l'humour. Yes, c'est l'humour, c'est ça. L'auteur, ce que je pense, ne choisit pas vraiment comment il écrit.
The writer does not really choose how they write.
It's a mélange, c'est un mélange.
It is a mix
de ce que je vois et du travail que moi j'aime beaucoup le théâtre. Moi je suis venu du théâtre et j'aime beaucoup les pièces de théâtre où il y a du rire, où il y a de l'humour. Toutes les histoires du théâtre. J'aime beaucoup le théâtre de Beckett, de Ionesco, de l'absurde, où il y a des situations où on rit, mais on rit de la tragédie. On ne rit pas comme dans les pièces de Molière.
He loves the theater, and he loves theater which is especially humorous. Regardless of the fact that we are in theater, there is a lot of laughing about tragedy. He thinks about the way he laughs at the pieces done by Molière, which are very funny, yet they are very sad as well.
La tragédie apparaît mieux quand elle fait rire.
And tragedy becomes apparent when we are laughing sometimes.
Parce qu'on comprend mieux, petit à petit, ce qui se passe. L'important pour moi, c'est raconter sans que les gens se lassent, sans la lassitude, sans qu'ils se lassent. Bidouni malal. Comment?
Yeah, I think I can get that. And when he is writing, he thinks about what the people who are going to read his work can be able to relate to.
Quand quelqu'un me dit qu'il a lu mon livre jusqu'à la fin, je suis content.
And there's a friend of his once told him, I've read your book and I am very pleased with what I have read.
Yeah. I think that answers me because this is my favorite book by Youssef. By the way, I really love how you bring out the comedy and the tragedy of Morocco. And I believe most of us here in this part of Africa, would be interested to know more about where you set the tragedy and the comedy. We would be interested to know more about Morocco, for example, because you speak about the war in Morocco, the Sahrawi, for example. And I think this is something that we'd find very important to listen to you more because you speak about this war. It's, it's the central thing. The central conflict is all around the war and everything emanates from the war, The Green March, for example, in Morocco, the fight over the Western Sahara.
Dans ce livre, je ne parle pas de la guerre. Je ne parle pas de la guerre, je parle des hommes et j'essaie de trouver le pouvoir. C'est quoi le pouvoir? Je ne parle pas du pouvoir politique. Je parle de les gens le pouvoir que les gens intègrent et qu'ils deviennent eux des despotes et ils deviennent eux des tyrans. Chacun est un tyran par rapport à un autre. C'est ça que je parle de ça et non pas de la guerre. Il n'y a pas de guerre dans le livre. C'est un prétexte pour raconter l'espace, le désert, et ensuite pour raconter une histoire d'amour, une histoire de gens. Je parle du bouffon, celui qui fait rire, parce que le bouffon est le miroir du roi. Le bouffon, c'est le roi à l'envers.
Okay. So he uses this particular book to be able to speak about power, but not really power in how it is held by the people who have it in governance, but power in how it should have been had by the people. His books are his way to use space to be able to talk about multiple things and how they connect to each other in a Moroccan context. For instance, how he writes about deserts, how he writes about clowns, in this particular text, clowns making kings laugh. But in that way, then, the power has shifted to the clowns because they are sort of the kings then in that story.
C'est le bouffon qui devient le roi. Et les gens ont peur de lui quand il passe dans la rue, alors qu'il n'est rien. Il fait rire, c'est tout. Mais quand il passe dans les rues, c'est le roi qui passe. Quand les gens veulent quelque chose, ils ne vont pas voir, ils vont le voir lui. Et il lui donne des cadeaux. Et il lui donne, quand tu es, c'est comme tu traduis d'abord celui-là.
Oui, okay. It's when these clowns are walking on the street, they're no one, they have nothing. It is not the same when the kings are walking on the streets and the people are obligated to have gifts for them. But in the fact that they have been able to make the kings laugh, then in a way, even when no one recognizes them on the road, they are kings in their own right.
C'est le seul qui peut dire au roi ce qu'il est, sans avoir peur. C'est le seul qui n'a pas peur du roi. Dans tout le royaume, le seul homme qui n'a pas peur du roi, c'est le bouffon. Et il peut lui dire tout ce qu'il veut, tout, sans avoir peur de lui.
And that's how you will notice the shift in power, because everyone in the kingdom is afraid of being able to confront the king, but not the clown, because the clown makes the king laugh. And in that way, the fear has been taken away. It has been extricated from him. And he has the freedom to be able to tell the king what he wants and what he feels like.
Parce que le bouffon, c'est l'image du roi, et le roi, c'est l'image du bouffon. C'est un miroir où il y a les deux, le roi et le bouffon. et le bouffon et le roi.
And in that way, you can be able to see the idiocy of the king, because the clowns then have taken that power for themselves, and you can see their images being reversed.
That's interesting, because I like the image of how you turn power on its own head and you give voice to the clown, to the people on the streets, to the unknown people in the society. And then you have this ideological way of, of bringing out certain ideologies, because there are lots of references to socialism, for example, in this text. So I would be interested to know more on what you think about Morocco's future in terms of ideologies, in terms of socialism, which is a conversation that you raise in this in this text, and also in the way you look at power and its dynamics within the Moroccan context.
Socialism, what socialism?
Yeah, you keep on referring to this idea, in the text. Your characters mention socialist, for example, the doctor and Zineb.
I think je ne parle pas d'idéologie dans le film, dans le livre. Je parle de moments de joie et de peur, d'ambition, d'espoir. Et je vais donner un exemple pour...
He does not believe that he speaks about socialism. He's not trying to explore something political per se. He thinks he's exploring emotions that we feel: joy, fear, hope.
Et j'ai choisi le désert parce que dans le désert, on a l'impression on est devant le néant, mais devant, il y a beaucoup de choses qui se passent dans ce désert.
And that is why in this particular text he chooses the desert as a place of where, or as a setting for where the story takes place, because in a way a lot can happen in a desert.
Par exemple, il y a 3 jeunes soldats qui vont aller chercher l'eau la nuit. L'eau, water. Qui vont chercher l'eau la nuit. Et dans un moment, ils s'arrêtent. Ils croient qu'ils sont arrivés au puits. C'est un long passage.
There's a certain part of this book where there are 3 soldiers and they're looking for water in the desert. And at some point they think that they have found wells.
Et ils entendent des bruits. Ils croient que c'est le bruit de l'eau. Mais un autre croit que c'est le bruit d'un serpent. Mais il n'y a ni puits ni serpent. Ils passent la nuit entre la peur et l'espoir de trouver l'eau.
And at some point, other than thinking that they have found or heard the sound of water, they also think that they've heard the sound of a snake. Then there's that sort of fear of confusion of what have I really heard.
Et parfois, ils entendent le bruit de l'ennemi qui vient chercher l'eau. Et ils restent comme ça jusqu'à l'aube, mais il n'y a rien.
And that's what happens in the story. They're in this constant state of confusion where they think that they have found something, but then they're being reverted onto something else. And that cycle keeps going on and on.
For example.
It's an example.
Et il n'y a pas d'idéologie. Il y a des gens.
It is not about ideology. It is about people.
People, des gens simples, modestes.
Modest, simple people.
Comme nous, comme moi.
Like us, like him.
Et qui essayent de trouver un chemin. Et généralement, ils ne le trouvent pas.
Trying to look for a road that sometimes we generally do not find.
That's an interesting response when you speak about the human emotions and the people and everything. And I'd wish to probably also turn my focus to something a little bit different, because when you talk about emotions and you have got all these beautiful books that you've written. And, sometimes as a parent, you want to treat all your children equally. You want to show them the same amount of love, attention, and everything. Which would you consider your favorite text out of these three? Which one are you so emotional about? Which one are you?
Quand j'écris un roman, je l'oublie.
When he writes a book, he forgets it.
Je n'ai jamais relu un roman que j'ai écrit.
He does not read a book he wrote again.
Jamais, never. Parce que je ne veux pas être déçu.
Because he doesn't want to feel defeated, disappointed.
C'est trop, hein?
I won't have any feeling of disappointment reading any of your texts, really. And I actually look forward to reading Hashish, all right?
Hashish parle d'une jeune fille de 18 ans qui arrive dans un petit patelin du nord du Maroc.
Hashish is about a young girl who arrives in a small part of the north of Morocco.
Elle fuit parce qu'elle était bonne chez des gens riches.
Yeah, she went because she thought she would find riches there.
Et elle fuit pour voyager, pour aller en Espagne.
And she's also trying to get to Spain.
Elle
in Spain, yes. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Non. Une correction. Tu faut continuer.
Et dans ce petit village, elle passe de maison en maison pour trouver l'occasion de fuir. Son idée, c'est aller dans cet espace qu'elle ne connaît pas. C'est uniquement un rêve. C'est uniquement un rêve dans sa tête. Elle dit que là-bas, elle sera mieux. Et nous tous, on dit que demain, ce sera mieux. Mais non, il n'est jamais mieux. Le lendemain, on le vit maintenant.
Yeah.
Oh, water. Oh. Sorry. So, the girl is running from place to place in the village, looking for something better, looking for a safe place. And in her head, it's like she's looking for a better future. She has a place, a dream. She's dreaming for a place where she will be safe. So she's just dreaming about this place. It's like, and it's like about us. We always looking about a better future, a better place, a safe place that maybe sometimes will be difficult to find.
Et dans ce village, elle est convoitée par les hommes. Tous les hommes qui la voient, parce qu'elle est belle, elle a une robe avec des fleurs. Et tous les hommes, ils la suivent. Le gendarme, et ils ne comprennent pas qu'est-ce qui se passe dans ta tête. Ils ne voient que le corps. Ils ne voient que... alors, elle fuit partout où elle va. Elle fuit. Pour aller où? Nulle part. Elle va mourir à la mer, comme tout le monde.
So she's she's converted by, I don't know how to say it in English.
Wait, there's men who see her and find her very beautiful,
exactly.
And they're always following her.
They're always following her. They're only seeing the beautiful dress, the physique, the beauty face, everything. They just see the physics. So every man are following her, the rich, poor, policemen, etc., businessmen, and everything. But they only see the face, the physique, and they don't see her mind, what she has in her head, like what she's looking for. So that's why she's always running and always looking for something better, because no one is understanding her.
Et ces gens, sincèrement, eux aussi, ils croient qu'ils l'aiment. Eux aussi. Mais personne n'aime personne. Chacun, il n'aime que soi-même. Dans le livre.
Okay. Yeah. So in the book, that man feels like they love the girls, but actually they don't really like the girls. They like their own selves. They're looking for something good for themselves. It's not really for the girl. So they feel like they love the girl, but actually not. They don't love her. They just love themselves. He says at the end in the book.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's just an appetizer. Right? Thank you for that.
It's a tragic end. Yeah. For everyone.
I believe that's enough about the book, so that, you know, there's just a little bit more for imagination, so that we buy the books and read and engage your work and everything. Yeah. And on that note, I'd wish to switch to the audience, so that
je vais vous raconter la fin de l'histoire du troisième livre.
He's going to tell us the end of the third book.
Une jeune fille aussi avec un jeune homme. Mais à la fin, elle est morte.
The woman dies at the end of the third book. There's a young woman and a young man, but the young woman dies.
Et lui il a des planches. Et il construit un tombeau, un cercueil avec les planches, avec des jolis dessins. Ils sont dans la mosquée.
Wait, a casket?
Ils sont dans la mosquée.
Mosque.
Et la mosquée est à côté de la mer.
Okay, the mosque is next to the beach. Yeah, that's
Yes,
it, right?
next to the sea, yes.
Yeah, to the sea. Yeah,
Yes.
I miss beach, so it's.
Et lui, il veut l'emmener pour qu'elle va dans la mer.
They're going to leave her to go into the sea.
But واحد un criquet.
But a cricket.
Qui monte dans le corps, et il rentre ici.
Oh,
and a cricket gets in on the chest and gets into the nose of the dead body.
Et il commence à chanter.
And starts to make cricket sounds. Krr, krr.
Et quand il la met dans la mer, quand il la pose dans la mer, on entend une chanson de la fille qu'il aimait beaucoup. Oh. C'est le titre de N'appelle pas, il n'y a personne. Don't talk, don't call.
There's no one.
Nobody.
There's no one. Yeah.
It's the end of the
Yeah. And we start to understand the song that the girl liked.
That's sad.
What I find interesting is many authors usually do not want to give endings to their text, but in this case, the ending makes me to want to read more of the text.
Je l'ai fait exprès.
So I'd wish to open the floor for the audience to interact with Youssef. He's a very engaging writer. I believe we begin with you.
First time, so I'm very glad to be here first, and and about what I've heard and the stories of the books, 3 books actually, and most of them are kind of sad. So I want to know if your work is always on kind of sad stories, like talking about everything that can happen in society, and and like understanding of humans and feelings and what we can feel, like the life. But I just want to know if your stories, your work, it's always about sad things, sad situation, sad ends. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Ok, c'est la première fois que je viens ici, enfin que je vous vois, que j'entends parler de votre travail. Et les 3 bouquins, les 3 livres, vos 3 œuvres dont on a parlé maintenant, sont des histoires assez tristes qui parlent de l'humain, de ce qu'il ressent, de la tristesse, de la joie, des pleurs, du deuil. Et ce que je voulais savoir, c'est est-ce que vos œuvres, votre travail, c'est toujours par rapport à le côté négatif, le côté, comment je vais dire ça, est-ce que ça parle toujours des histoires tristes, ou c'est que ces 3 bouquins et puis il y a d'autres bouquins qui sont encore mieux?
Ce n'est pas négatif. Triste, ce n'est pas négatif. Triste, c'est comme la vie. Et il y a un moment de joie et il y a des moments de tristesse. Et il y a beaucoup de tristesse. Quelqu'un a dit, pour une journée de joie, je donnerai 4 siècles de tristesse. La joie n'est pas, on ne la trouve pas dans la rue. Elle n'est pas partout. Mais la tristesse, elle est quotidienne. Et un petit moment de joie, c'est important. Mais on le paye. On le paye. Et parfois, on le paye cher.
Tu peux te traiter pour la réponse.
So in general, like it's not about negative things. It's about sadness. Like actually, life is kind of sad. Someone said, for a moment of joy, we need a very, how to say it? Yeah, centuries of sadness. So we can't find happiness everywhere like this, just like it all the time. But it's how to say it? It's a very I don't know. I forgot just what you said. Sadness is daily. Sadness is daily, but there's few moments of joy are very important. They are very. We have to how to say, celebrate it, kind of like so that's it. It's not always, we cannot always be happy. It's kind of, we are more sad than happy. But when we have this happy moment, we just have to like appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's
You must pay to be happy. Yeah, you must pay to be happy.
wow.
Yeah, it's a cost. It costs. It's a price. It's a happiness has a price. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. There's another question as well over there.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And I'm also new to you, and I look forward to reading your books. But I had a question about translation. So your books have been translated into other languages, and I wanted to know what kind of role you played in that. What is your relationship to your translated books? If you have a big role to play with it, the relationship with translators. Thank you.
Non, je n'ai pas. Parfois, il y a des traducteurs que je n'ai jamais vus.
There are translators he's never even met.
Et une fois, j'ai traduit un de mes livres.
And there was a time he translated one of his books.
Mais c'était mauvais.
It was bad.
C'est très mauvais.
Yes.
Et Je connais, par exemple, le traducteur français, je le connais.
He knows his French translator because he writes in Arabic.
Les traducteurs américains, j'ai vu. Ils sont venus chez moi, mais je ne suis pas allé chez eux. Mais les autres, le turc, l'hindou, je sais pas quoi, je n'ai jamais connu.
He has seen his American translators for English. They've been to his place, but he does not know the rest.
There's a question over there, please.
So about translation, when in languages that you can understand, when you read, let's say you write in Arabian, it's translated to French, and you read the French version of the book, do you feel like your voice is still there? Do you feel yourself, or do you feel there's a different person altogether and the story might be the same?
Tu sens quelque chose de différent quand tu lis la traduction en français parce que tu parles français, tu peux entendre.
Les auteurs, j'ai entendu des auteurs se plaigner parce que la traduction n'était pas fiable, ne ressemble pas à l'original.
Writers understand that the translation is not always faithful to the original.
La traduction ne ressemble jamais à l'original.
And the translation never looks like the original.
Parfois, la traduction est mieux que l'original.
Sometimes the translation is better than the original.
Yes, I think. Parce que les mots ne sont pas les mêmes.
Because the words are not the same.
Le mot, la mère, the mother, n'a pas le même sens ici que chez nous. N'a pas le même sens ici qu'en Inde. C'est chaque fois, le traducteur apporte toujours quelque chose de nouveau. Il devient lui-même auteur. Et c'est ça qui est l'important. Quand il y a par exemple beaucoup de traductions de Alf les mille et une nuits. Mais les traductions ne ressemblent pas. Chacun ajoute quelque chose. Parce que le traducteur, lui aussi, il cherche ses mots. Et c'est un travail très, très, très important.
Regardless of all that, it is still important work because the words are not the same. They sound differently in different parts of the world, in the different languages that they have to move from one to the next. But it does not negate the fact that the work is very important.
Et l'importance de la traduction, c'est le seul pont qui nous réunit. C'est un pont important qui réunit tous les peuples, tous les écrivains. C'est à travers la traduction qu'on se connaît, que je suis ici. C'est à travers la traduction. Mais c'est aussi à travers le livre que j'ai écrit en arabe. Tout ça se mélange pour que nous nous rencontrions maintenant et nous parlons et nous discutons.
And translation is important because its greatest achievement is unifying all of us. That is why he is here, even when you have never heard of him as a Moroccan writer, because all of it becomes a mix and we can be able to finally understand each other and meet in places like this.
Hi everyone, my name is Gloria and I'm going to ask, and perhaps this is a bit unfair, the question I'm going to ask, but I'm asking this because the theme of the festival is disrupting home. And again, I'll say it may be a bit unfair, but as a writer also, and as someone who comes from Morocco, I'm going to ask a question about particularly Western Sahrawi, in the context of home and disrupting home. And not just also as a writer, but as somebody who comes as a Moroccan. And I would have loved a comment from you in the context of, because there's a contest of home in that sense also, that there's a contest whether Western Sahrawi is part or not part of Morocco. Again, it's unfair probably, but I would just love a comment from you about home in that context, or disrupting home. I don't know if it makes sense.
No comment.
It's okay. It's fair. Like I said, I thought the question was unfair to you, so that's fine. No hard feelings.
And I believe if you read this text, perhaps the no comment would make a lot of sense. How, the dynamics between Western Sahara and Morocco kind of plays out in the novel, but it surely does here. Yeah.
Non, ce n'est pas le sujet du livre.
Just going back to the question about disrupting home, you speak Arabic and write in French. The other way, you write in Arabic and speak French, and your book is about 3 soldiers looking for water who imagine they can find it. How is this all connected in these 2 different perspectives, the language that you use and the story of these soldiers who are looking for water and imagining they found it, but are scared that the sound that they're hearing is about snakes? How is this about disrupting home?
Le problème, quand j'écris en plusieurs langues dans ma tête. Dans ma tête, il y a plusieurs langues. Je pense d'abord en dialectal, l'arabe de tous les jours. Je pense en dialectal. Et j'essaye de traduire le dialectal en arabe. Et parfois, je pense en français. Et j'essaye de traduire. C'est toujours l'écriture est toujours un travail de traduction. Traduire ses sentiments, traduire ces mots qui passent par la tête, chercher un mot dans un dictionnaire et le remettre. C'est un travail, c'est une cuisine de traduction. L'auteur lui-même est un traducteur de sa propre imagination. Et parfois, ce qui sort sur le papier, il ne le connaissait pas. Ça se fabrique. Quand je m'assois devant la table, parfois je ne sais pas comment ça va se terminer. Et tout ça se mélange dans la tête. Et ça fait une histoire que je n'avais pas, à laquelle je n'ai jamais pensé. Et c'est ça le moment délicieux de l'écriture. Quand tu trouves quelque chose qui n'a pas existé et qui est nouvelle pour toi et pour l'écrivain. Le contexte... C'est quoi le thème? Le thème, c'est the home. Ça, on va parler le soir, non?
Okay. So he says that as a writer, especially him, he writes in Arabic. He speaks French. But then, for him, especially with Arabic, he has to think of the fact that he knows very many dialects. And to be able, and a writer's, so for him, even translation is a constant worry as a writer, because then he's having to sift out the different dialects of Arabic and which is going to be the one that is going to fit in a certain context when he's writing. That for him is a way in which he thinks about home, is a way in which he thinks about disruption, because you have different ideas. He does not know which dialect to use, but then it is a delicious moment for him when he finds the one that he will use for the story.
I think it seems like we're already out of time, unless there is one very, very, very burning question. If the
I do think that that's what.
Ça aussi, c'est venu comme ça. Tu as un désert, il faut le remplir. Et ça se fabrique. Moi, je n'avais pas l'idée que ces gens, ces 3 garçons, ces 4 garçons vont aller chercher l'eau. Ils ont besoin d'eau. Ça, c'est la première idée. Voilà. La première idée des gens, leur chef leur a dit allez chercher l'eau. Mais ce qui se passe sur la route, je ne le sais pas. C'est comme tous les auteurs. Tu ne sais pas ce qui va se passer. C'est ça l'écriture. Et tu essayes de réfléchir, de sortir dans la rue, marcher. Marcher est un moment important dans l'écriture. L'écriture se fait quand tu n'écris pas. C'est le moment de marcher, le moment d'aller au bain, le moment de se baigner. C'est là où ça se trame, les moments importants dans l'écriture. Et quand tu es sur le papier, tu ne vois pas qu'est-ce qui se fabrique. C'est petit à petit. Qu'est-ce qu'ils font? Tu réfléchis. Ce qui se passe. Parfois, ça m'arrive, je crois que ça arrive à tout le monde, devant une situation, tu penses, est-ce que ça t'est arrivé toi? Ou à quelqu'un, pour avoir une idée de ce qui s'est passé, pour avoir une idée avec une connexion avec la réalité, pour trouver une solution. Parfois, on ne trouve pas de solution. Il faut la chercher ailleurs. Chez les voisins, c'est un ami, il y a très longtemps, je reviens au souvenir de quand j'étais petit. Est-ce que ça ne s'est pas passé comme ça, mais ça ressemble. Et c'est de trouver ta propre solution pour avancer dans le travail.
Okay. I will shorten it. So basically, while he's thinking about the soldiers who are looking for water, that is very metaphorical for him and us. When we think about home, we think about using our own way, because writing is really about the passage. When you as the reader are reading, you are making a journey and you are trying to find something. And sometimes, now this is the second point, sometimes it seems like you will not be able to find a solution. And sometimes you wonder if the theme that is being explored is really actually something that has come to you naturally. But then I think the importance for him and him thinking about home in that sense is that when we read the story, then individually we can be able to find solutions from person to person. The solutions don't always look the same for this person and the next person.
Parfois, je monte dans l'autobus, et j'entends une phrase. Et à partir de cette phrase que j'ai attrapée, je suis arrivé à écrire une page.
Sometimes he's in the bus, and then he hears someone say something, and then he takes that and finds himself having written a page.
Et je me demande après, je lis la page, c'est bien, mais si je n'étais pas monté dans ce bus, je ne l'aurais jamais écrit.
And he reads the passage and he thinks, oh, this is good. But what if I never got into the bus? And what if I never had that sentence being said?
C'est le hasard. Le hasard existe dans l'écriture, comme dans la vie.
Lazare. Chance. Yes. It's just chance, and that's part of life. Yeah, we need to have a lot of chances to write.
I believe that there are chances to write, and we still have chances to engage the author as well. So I believe our 1 hour of introduction of Youssef Fadel is over, but we still welcome you to engage him even after this as we proceed to other parts of the program. So it's been a pleasure hosting you. My name is Oduor Obura, and welcome to Nairobi. Welcome to East Africa.
Thank you. Thank you for this invitation to Kenya, to Nairobi. I'm very happy that I here.
Yeah, thank you.